Monster High, new Ghoul in school! This is the next game based on the popular cartoon series Monster High, where they take the offspring of a movie monster and put them all in school together. You know they're monsters who bred them because all their names have puns in them. Only something evil would do that. This is not the first time that I've done a Monster High game. In fact, last year, Monster High 13 Wishes was my #1 pick as the worst game that I reviewed that year. And I'm happy to say this game is way better than that one. But that's not a hard bar to jump over, especially when the bar was on the floor. Graphically, it looks great for this type of kiddie game. However, because it isn't a blurry mess like the last game, there are quite a few loading times. And while they were only a few seconds, because of the gameplay mechanics itself, which I'm going to get into, it's kind of annoying. The story is about you joining Monster High. The students there are all about extracurricular activities and pounce on you the second you walk through the gate. Getting to class itself is just a nuisance to them as they get to their next school activity. In fact, class isn't even really a part of this game. When you do have to go, they just spin the clock forward. You were there for a few hours. Okay, moving on to lunch, or we're getting out of there. You would think they would have done a cutscene of class just to at least show that you're in school, but no, it's not really what this is about. Now the gameplay is broken up into 3 parts of the day: before school, lunch, and after school. Each of these parts you have to do certain tasks which involve the school activities. It usually is just a fetch quest, but it could be as simple as just attending the meeting. You're given a phone to track your tasks, plus you can get emails and messages from it. You can also buy stuff with the money that you find floating around or from doing quests. There's usually 2 or 3 tasks in every part, so to finish the day out it takes about an hour. You can pick which quest you want to work on, and the arrow in front of you will take you where you need to go. The arrow worked great. There is a bigger map to look at, but there's really no reason to do it unless you want to try and find a closer quest to get to. One of the biggest problems though was the camera. Most of the time it wasn't a big deal since the objectives were right in front of you, but there were times where they were higher up or at a weird angle, and I wish you could have changed the camera to look up, but you can't. You're just going to need to find higher ground to get a better view. These problems really only show up when they have you search for hidden objects. These objects are hidden in one room, usually in odd places. You have to use the furniture around you to get to them. It wasn't too hard, but there were times where I had a bit of a problem finding it because I couldn't quite see where it was because of the camera. One of the things that I liked was the ongoing storylines for each of the groups that you attended. They weren't deep or compelling, but they did have a purpose, and it felt like you were actually doing something and moving forward with the story. Unlike other kids games where it's just like the same thing over and over again, they actually gave you quests that actually expanded on what the previous quest had done. It's in a minor way, but it's still appreciated. Now, it was annoying that half the game wasn't voiced. This is a game for young kids. There are plenty of puns and hard words, and I can see this being a problem with them reading some of them in the text. Why not just voice act the whole thing? At the end of the day, you just go home. You could change your clothes, clean up your room, or just finish up the day. Then you wake up and then just go to school again to do more quests. I do like some of the occasional mini games, but I do wish there was more of them. There is just too many fetch quests in this game. Now the music is actually pretty good. It had a catchy theme song, and each of the time periods have their own background music, and they were fun to listen to as well. There were a few collectibles to find and hidden codes for the lockers that somebody graffitied all over the school. I guess this is one way to make sure you never forget your locker combination. Monster High New Ghoul in School was good. Well, compared to the last game, it was a masterpiece. It was nice to see they didn't continue with the bad gameplay of the previous title, but it kept all the action at the school. I'm sure fans of the show will enjoy hanging out with the characters and joining on activities with them. I wish the title was less about running around corridors and more about the gameplay itself. However, for a kids game, they will give you plenty to do. I think the game is worth a rent if your child is a fan of the series, or maybe even a buy as a Christmas present. Well, that's my review of Monster High New Ghoul in School. Why don't you check out my last review of Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, or you can check out my classic review of Monster High 13 Wishes. I thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe.